10 Minutes in Tinseltown with Ms. Meliz. I'm Melissa Reyes, and I'm happy to have with me my special guest, Maribel Reyes. Maribel! Maribel has a blog called strolleradventures.net, and she's a writer and an amazing friend that I know from SoCal Lady Bloggers, and we're sisters at heart. So, and Maribel comes to us live from Costa Rica. So, Maribel, how are you?
I'm good. It's
about what it's like to transition from moving from the U.S. to Costa Rica, and what it's like living outside of the U.S. So, do you want to tell me a little bit about that? I know you said that there's a lot of differences. What kinds of differences are there that you first noticed?
Well, for example, your internet connection is not 100% reliable because of the weather and the humidity. Sometimes you lose electricity or power. There's power outages out of the blue. And so everything is electrical here, even your stove. So if there's a power outage, I can't cook. So I have to whip up a salad or a sandwich for my kids and myself. Mm. If my husband's home, then for him too. So one of the major differences is that you don't have reliability on that. Water, even though it rains a lot here during rain season, they get around 155 liters of water a month.
Can you send some to California?
I wish, I've been trying to. Yeah, I know you guys need some of that. And even though with all that rain, they shut down water without notice. So yesterday we woke up and there was no water. We couldn't shower.
Oh my gosh.
So that's another difference.
And
they don't follow.
What part of where do you live in? What is there, like a section of town or a city that you live in? I don't know very much about Costa Rica.
Well, Costa Rica, I forgot my map. I had a map with me. But anyways, I live in the Central Valley, and I live in San Jose, which is the capital of the country.
Oh, okay.
There's only 7 states. So there's only 7 states. One is Guanacaste, and that's the Pacific coast. And then the other one is Limon, which is the Caribbean coast. I live in the Central Valley. So I live where the main international airport is. I actually live 10 kilometers away from it, so like 7 miles away from the airport. And where I live is considered a city, although it is a city. Just 3 houses down from our house is a river that flows through. So I have iguanas there. There's iguanas there. There's raccoons. I heard there's snakes, and I've had neighbors have snakes break into their house or get into their house.
They break in.
We have. Oh yeah. I call it breaking because they're uninvited
guests.
I
see.
So yeah. Yes, and it's been a surprise for several neighbors that they go up the stairs.
Oh.
I never knew snakes could go up the
stairs. Oh gosh.
So that's a little. Yes, that's a little frightening. Especially if you're afraid of snakes like me. So, yeah, and then you have trees everywhere. There's a bunch of wild trees everywhere you look. It's green or colorful from flowers.
That's weird. There's a lot of differences just in your environment then. What kinds of differences have you found with the economy and with the, lifestyle?
Everything is more natural. Everything is like food. As far as culture, food is important for them, for locals. So they have 2 hearty meals a day, 2 hot meals a day, breakfast and then lunch. And because the sun rises at 5:25, 5:30, people eat lunch by noon. So by 3 o'clock, people are trying to get their energy in. So if they're working, they drink coffee a lot here to stay awake. And because they also produce and export coffee, they drink it a lot. Like even kids drink coffee.
Oh, wow.
And it's okay here. And so by 3 o'clock, they're drinking their coffee, and it's not just the coffee or a hot cup of tea. It's coffee with either pastries or cake or crackers or cookies or something sweet. They really love their sweets. They love dulce de leche here. Yes.
Maribel, what brought you to Costa Rica? You said it was because of your husband's job. What does he do? Can you tell us?
My husband is international trade expert.
Okay.
He deals with import and export and the classifying of goods according to the harmonized tariff code. I used to do the same, so I can explain a little more in detail.
Oh, you used to do that too?
Countries to do the same, yes. I always tell him that I can take over his job if he, if he ever needs me. He says no.
I can't say that for my husband. I can't even plug in an electrical cord without his help.
That's a good one.
True.
So every country produces goods or exports goods, and it varies. And so to export your goods, for example, to export an iPhone, there's a code for your phone, for a smartphone. And that is an international code for customs to know what it is. And what the code does, it tells you what it's made of, where it was made of, what is in it, what is it for, and it gives you a detailed description of all the components. And so it's this huge book this big, and it's called the Harmonized Tariff Code or Harmonized System. Harmonized, because it's harmonized between all the countries around the world.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. So
instead of you translating it to a different language, you just look up the number and it tells you the description. It's the same description in every country.
That's really cool. And he's an expert at that. And that's why you got moved to Costa Rica.
We moved to Costa Rica because his job, his company said, you know what, we need you over here. You would be heading the department for the classification goods and the team, and so we moved over here because he's fully bilingual, just like me.
So that move at first was really hard for you because I know you have your family and your friends here in the United States, but have you met a lot of other American expats there in Costa Rica, and how have you gotten along there with meeting other people from other countries?
You know what's funny? Most of the American expats, they come not for job purposes. They come because they want to live near the beach. So most of them live around the coast in the Pacific coast. Here in the Central Valley, it's mostly expats for different countries because there's so many multinational companies here. I know HP, IBM, Walmart is here. They have Office Depot. They have something similar to Costco called PriceSmart, which is a chain around the Caribbean and all of South America and Central America. And then these companies, and then they have Intel. They have a lot of technology companies are here. Even Amazon has offices.
Really?
Here.
Wow.
So they hire, yes, they do. They hire from around the world. And so the expats I've met, are from mostly Europe and South America. I have some Mexican friends that are expats too. Where I live, our block are mostly expats. So
really?
I have Spain, I have Romania. Yeah, it's really interesting to meet all these people because it's people I wouldn't meet in the U.S.
Right.
And then add to that they have kids my age, with the age of my kids.
Nice.
So my kids are always playing with them, and they're picking up words from different languages and incorporating them into conversation. So my son's picking up Catalonian, which is from Spain, and he's picked up some Italian, and my daughter is in a German-speaking school, so she's picking up German, and then we have some other friends from Germany, we have friends from Venezuela, so it's really, expats are a tight-knit community here. And I think for some reason, because we all understand what we're going through or being away from our family, nobody has family here. And so we're each other's family. We're always helping out each other.
That's pretty cool. So tell me, Maribel, what are you most passionate about? When I asked you that question in the pre-interview, you said that you really wanted to make the world a better place for your kids, and that so I wanted to ask you, how do you do that? And if that is what you're most passionate about, can you tell me a little about that?
I think it's all about how you view the world and how you lead your life. So I'm trying to change. When we first moved here, it was very hard for me. This whole past year, we had a series of misadventures, if I may say so. Our car broke down, and here, if you don't have a car, and especially in the rain season, it's really critical to have a car, and so we were carless for over a month. Oh. And then my husband was very ill, so I almost lost my husband after New Year's, and so a series of things were happening that were all negative stuff. And I think it took a toll on the four of us. And after everything was over and done with, and my mom's been helping me a lot because my mom, she's Cuban. She left her country. She moved to the U.S. She meets my dad. My dad's Mexican, and so they moved to Baja, Mexico, and when I was young. And I remember my mom having a difficulty accepting it, and I think I have that memory so vividly that while I was here the first couple of months, it seemed like I was living my mom's life, like I was recreating or reenacting everything.
That's interesting. I felt that way with my mom too. She shared so much about her life, and she was the youngest in her family, and she said a lot of, it turns out, you know, my life turned out to be a lot like hers, and I was so glad she talked about those things when I was young. So that's the same thing for you?
That's the same exact thing. Now, my mom had an epiphany when I was around 11 or 12 years old. Always a movie. This one, for her, it was Doc Hollywood with Michael J. Fox. Oh. And it was a scene where he's complaining about being in a little town, and Lou, the girl he's falling in love with, says, it's not the place, it's the person. And so my mom has always taught me that. And so the first couple of months I was fighting, and it wasn't the place, it was me. I'm the one that's from the outside. I'm the one that was trying to live a different life here, trying to bring my U.S. or my country and my culture into here. And it wasn't, that's not what it was about. It was about accepting and appreciating what I'm living here and making it better.
Right.
And where I'm trying to get to is, that's how I'm teaching my kids. I'm teaching them to make the most of the cards they're handed in life. I'm teaching them that, okay, we lost power because there's a power outage. Doesn't matter. We can make a sandwich. We can make a salad. We can have some fruit. We can have some fresh produce. Or we can order food from another city or a neighboring town, and they can bring it over here and they'll deliver it. I don't know. It's kind of not distracting, but being happy and thankful for what you have and appreciating it and enjoying the moment, being in the moment. So I think that to make the world a better place, we all have to accept that there's differences and learn to appreciate those differences with other cultures, religions, and whatnot.
Right. Right. And, you know, that's the case for everybody, even if they've like me, never lived outside of my neighborhood within like 10 miles my whole life. And, you know, but I still feel like it's so important to accept people's differences and that we are all different, everybody, you know, and that there's no perfection. There's no right way to be except for just to be yourself. So I really appreciate that, and I wonder, do you write about that on your blog, Stroller Adventures? Do you talk about things, you know, how you set the example for your kids?
I've talked about I've talked about that. I've talked about what I see different. I've also talked about how much I miss things from the U.S. I know I've seen lately on my Facebook feed all my friends complaining about political issues and things that are happening in the U.S. And I'm trying to stay up to date because sometimes I won't get the news immediately, or I'll find out later in the day. But sometimes I look at them and I read the statuses or what's going on, and I think to myself, wow, people are complaining about this? I mean, seriously, this is ridiculous. There's other people with huge, humongous problems, and they can't solve it. And every country is dealing with their own issue, economy, political issue, religious issues. And I mean, why can't we all just accept and try to be the best? I mean, if we all contribute just by changing our disposition in life, the way we view things, how we decide or choose or treat others, I think that would impact our world a lot.
That's so true. You know, it seems so simple, doesn't it? But I don't know why people make it so difficult with power, I think, and control issues. But we need more people like you, Maribel. I've always loved your outlook on life, and I just think that you're so intuitive and so amazing about what people need to be reminded. So, is there anything else you want to tell me about what's going on with your blog or your work?
Basically, I am now getting brave and trying out Costa Rican recipes. So last week I got adventurous and I tried, there's a fruit that they only grow here in Costa Rica. I did some research and I couldn't find it anywhere else, and they call it cas, which is C-A-S, and it looks like a guava. I posted it on Instagram, a picture, and it's green, it's little round thing. And so I tried making the water that they do with it, which is kind of like a limeade, but you blend the fruit and you add water and you just mix it. And so I'm trying to do that and learn how to do their gallo pinto, which is white rice with black beans. And they eat it with everything every day, and it's like a staple in their cuisine. And I want to learn how to make garbanzo beans and stuff, so that, and then I want to share a little bit more positivity from living here. I mean, of course there's always negative stuff when you experience something different, but I want to highlight the positive. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're getting from living here that we wouldn't have experienced anywhere else or any other way. So that's what I'm trying to do with my blog.
That's fantastic. I mean, and you didn't change your name on your blog when you moved from Stroller Adventures, which was when your kids were in strollers, to now you're just strolling along, right? Kind of.
Exactly. I'm just strolling along life and sharing what I see and do. And yeah, and I think we all need to sit down and take it all in, what we're going through or what we're at or what we're doing, and we need a little bit more of that. So that's why I'm blogging about it.
I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna take speaking of it, you brought up Instagram, so I'm gonna take an Instagram selfie of us, okay? Because this is 10 minutes in Tinseltown. And there we go. So now we're going to be on Instagram, and oh, I love it. Tell me, what do you like to do for fun in Costa Rica? Come on, it's Tinseltown. You got to.
We're trying to travel a lot more,
okay.
and but being in the Central Valley, we have in the vicinity 3 different volcanoes. So we enjoy going to see volcanoes, and these are active volcanoes.
That's hot.
Yes, it's fun. It's fun. And I've been on a weight loss fitness journey for the past 2 years. So I've been working on that, still working on that. I'm not where
wait a second.
Where I want to be.
And that's what you say is fun. It is fun to see how great you look. You look awesome. But every time I see you, you look. I mean, you always looked fantastic, but I could tell that you look just full of energy. And but that's what you do for fun. is exercise and work out and eat right?
Have gotten into soccer a lot because this country eats, sleeps, and breathes soccer. So it's like we needed to get on board with it.
What about the zip lining? You told me that you did some zip lining in the jungle. Tell me about that.
We did. And so my fear of snakes, yeah, it was a little bit there because we're walking through the jungle to get to the first station. And I'm afraid not of heights, but of speed and not having control of my own well-being.
Right.
So zip lining, they buckle you up. They put like a harness on your chest, a harness on your hip, and then a double harness on your legs. And so you're practically hanging from a line, a cable line.
No way.
With that, with the harness. And, and you don't want to look, I didn't want to look down. So the whole first line, because it was 8 different lines. So the first time I went through it, I'm with my eyes closed and I'm hanging on for my life to the cable and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. And our neighbors had so much fun that they kept videotaping us, each one. And so when I arrived to the platform, the guy looks at me, the tour guide, and he says, "Did you see the waterfall?" And I said, "What waterfall?" And he said, "It was right below you." And I said, "Excuse me, I was with my eyes closed." I mean, not just like closed asleep. I was shutting them really tightly so I wouldn't see and screaming. He said, "Okay, next time open your eyes." So I kept trying to open my eyes and it kept getting higher and further long. So, I mean, it was, yes, it was a longer line each time.
But they were different. It was
and more
like in succession. It wasn't the same thing again. You were just going from what, tree to tree?
Tree to tree. So there's a platform in each tree and you go from one side to another. And I mean, I think it takes about, the shortest one I think was 2 minutes. The longest one was like 8 minutes. And so you're hanging for your life for 8 minutes and screaming.
8 minutes?
8 minutes.
I would pee my pants. Did you pee? I'm sorry.
Oh
my God.
I was surprised. My 4-year-old, I have a 4.5-year-old son, and he was nervous about it. He did not know what to expect. And you're wearing helmets and health and safety gear. But all of a sudden, when he goes through the first one, he says, "I want to go next. Let's do this." So he got into it. And my almost 9-year-old, she was excited, but she started opening her eyes and she was like, "This is fun." But then she started getting a little more afraid as we got deeper into the jungle.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, and as you're walking to reach each platform, they're like, "Oh, there's there's a bird over there," and they're like pointing to it, and you're like, "Oh, where? You know, I don't see it." They're like,
"Oh, did you see any animals?"
They said that there was a sloth, a 3-toed sloth, but I didn't get to see it. I don't know if I needed my glasses to see it or something, but I couldn't see it. I mean, it was camouflage. I have a picture here of a sloth, but you can barely see them sometimes.
Oh, okay. It kind of looks like a monkey.
It looks like a monkey. And they have this coat that looks like leaves.
Oh,
so
wow.
You can confuse them really.
Yeah, it would be hard to see. That sounds like so much fun, though, Maribel. I can't believe that you did that. I give you so much credit because I don't think I could. I don't know. If I was in Costa Rica and it was a once-in-a-lifetime chance, I would do it because, yeah, I want to experience new things and try new things and have adventures. But if I just sitting here in my little room in Northridge, I'm like, no way. No way. But good for you. I'm so glad you did it. And so, Maribel, we've come to the part where I ask you, what is your favorite Hollywood hotspot? Now, I would love for you to recommend someplace in Hollywood or in Los Angeles. I know you've been to a lot of great places, but it could be anywhere in the world. You tell me, what's your favorite hotspot? But I'm talking about something like Hollywood, glitzy, some Tinsel Town place that you've been to that was just, You never knew who was going to walk in the door. Go on.
Oh, Juniors.
Juniors.
The deli that, yes.
Excellent.
We would go there for brunch on a Sunday, and I remember meeting Julio Iglesias.
Oh my God, really?
With his band. Yes, and I think I was 6 years old, but I can still remember he was wearing all white, and they were driving a convertible Beetle. Well, back then a slug bug, but they were riding a white convertible slug bug, and we followed them to Marina del Rey. We stayed at a hotel, and my aunt was going insane for it. She really loved Julio Iglesias, so she was going insane.
Hey, so you mentioned to me a Caribbean restaurant in Costa Rica that you really like too. Did you want to talk about that?
Yes. It's called Maxie's, and they have one in Limon, which is the province that's on the Caribbean coast, and then they have one about 2 kilometers away from my house, which is good for me, but bad for my waistline if I go often. Their typical meal that I like is rice and beans, but their rice and beans is cooked with coconut milk, so there's you can taste the coconut.
I love that. That sounds so good.
And then they have the shrimp. Oh, it's so good. So they serve the dish, and it's like this big of a plate. And so you have your rice and beans on one side, you have your garden salad on the other one, and then you have your shrimp right. It's your main entree, and I just love it. I can like lick my fingers and stuff because it's so good when I eat it. And then they have these appetizers that are plantains that they make into baskets. And so inside the basket they have guacamole, but not your typical guacamole. It's just natural avocado that they mashed up and put it in there. Or because the ambiance it's like a house next to the river, and the river flows. So the house looks like a Caribbean house, and everything's open, like the windows. There's no screens on windows here. Windows are wide open. They have a little play area for the kids. There's trees, plantains, there's papaya trees everywhere all over the grounds. And there's a wraparound porch that we like to sit in to enjoy our meal. And there's a little breeze that goes through.
That sounds so beautiful. Have you taken pictures and posted it on your website?
I took pictures of the other Caribbean restaurant we went to, and that one serves the fish. It's a whole fish that they fry, but they serve the entire fish, like with the head, the tail, everything. So there's your plate with the fish right there. It's good. It tastes good, but I mean, just to look. So it's not very
Fish eyes. Fish heads. Do you sing that song, Fish? Fish heads, roly poly fish heads, fish heads. Eat 'em up, yum.
But yeah.
Well, Maribel, I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me on 10 Minutes in Tinseltown. Do you have anything else you'd like to add or ask?
No, that's right about it. I really love what you're doing with this show, and I really think it's really the questions you ask and the guests you've had. I've watched all of them. So I really like Mary. I found out a lot about Mary.
I really appreciate your support. It means so much to me. So, with that, let's dance it out. Come on. Thank you so much for joining me on 10 Minutes in Tinseltown, and I'll see you next week.